first thing I want to point out is Shiloh, right here in the middle. Now, at this point in time, that's where the tabernacle is, the tent of tabernacle is placed. Most people think it's down here in Jerusalem, but Jerusalem's not really established yet. So we're up here in Shiloh, kind of in the mountains here. And something that's going to be very important for us in our little study today is over here is the where the Philistines live, or Philistia. And we have their five big, Aphek, the five big cities, Aphek, Ekron, Gath, and Ashdod. Who lived in Gath? The giant, that's right, yeah. And his brothers, yes, very good. Okay, so you kind of get an idea, and it gives you some of the military stuff here that we're probably not going to get into that. That's for whoever's next week. But the one thing I did want to point out, there's a slant here. You know, like the start of Star Wars, you know, it's got a slant to it. So, because there's only 4 miles here between Bethlehem and Jerusalem. So that looks a little fur, okay, compared to, so it gives a little visual thing. Now, there was a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, I listened to my thing from last week, and when I was talking about the tabernacle and the furnishings, I started talking about being brass and like that, and then I jumped into the labor. But there was a dividing point between the holy and the Holy of Holies. And the holy, where the table showbread and all that, that's all made of brass. And even outside, and even the tabernacle tent, all that's made out of brass. And like I was starting to say, brass is a mixture of copper and several other metals. But when you get inside to the Holy of Holies, everything in there is gold, made of gold. So gold, pure God, because that's where God was at. Everything outside is a mixture, just like we are in the mixture of the world. And so the mixture of sin and like that. So that, I can't believe I didn't do that. That's a big point when I teach that. So shame on me. One other thing, out of the mouth of babes, I get home, I told you last week my grandson was watching, or grandchildren, and my one grandchild came up to me and says, "Papa, you were out of breath. You're going," I said, I get so excited and stuff, and then I also have some heart issues. So I'm not trying to be breathy like, you know, a sultry woman or anything like that, okay? That's just part of me. So get over with that. Okay. Let's start out here in the 1 Samuel. And we're going to do a lot of reading today because I took some out of it, but there's such good stuff here. Okay, there's a certain man of Ramoth, Zephram, in the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, son of Ehud, son of Toha, I'll get it right, and son of Zerphah, an Ephrathite. And he had 2 wives, and the name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And now the man used to go up year by year from his city to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh. What does it say he goes up? Has anybody ever? You'll see that they go, wherever they're at, they go up to the temple or you ever notice that? That was a question that was asked me all the time. The idea is you always go up to God, no matter, like if you're we would say if you came down south, you would say you were going down, right? And so, but no, you always go up to God. And so that's why they say that. All right. And to the city, the host city of Shiloh, were the two sons of Eli, and Hophni and Phinehas were priests of the Lord. I want to point something out here. They are priests of the priestly line of Aaron. Okay? When we talk about Samuel, which we see here, we see he's from Ephraim. He is not of the priestly line. And he's going to be a prophet in the last judge. But he is not a priest. Okay? Sometimes those things get mixed up. But he's anointed by God. And we're going to see that here in a little bit. So, but these guys, they're not. And we're going to see in a little bit that Hophni and Phinehas are bad dudes. And on the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah, he gave a double portion. That's important. Double portion. That's actually, what do you want to, it's a law or, how do I describe it? Like you're giving down to your children. Inheritance. Thank you. Boy, some days you can't talk. And so in the Hebrew tradition, you gave a double portion to the oldest boy. You see here that obviously Elkanah had the oldest boy because Hannah had nothing. Or Peninnah, I'm sorry. Peninnah had children. But yet he gave Hannah a double portion. That kind of shows like a rejection of Peninnah. Okay? So, and we see this, Reuben did not get the double portion. Trying to think of another example. But it was fairly common, so she got a double portion. So because he loved her, through the Lord, he closed her womb. And her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her because the Lord had closed her womb. Well, also that she was getting a double portion. I mean, there's a lot of rivalry here, okay? So when it went on year by year, as often as she went up to the house of the Lord, and she used to provoke her, therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? And why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not more than 10 sons to you? So he's trying to console her, but obviously that's not very consoling. Okay. And there, I like this picture. You know, she's crying, and look at that Peninnah's face. It's just evil almost. Okay. Okay. And as she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth, and Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips moved and her voice was not heard. Have you ever done that? You'd be pouring out to the Lord, you know, maybe you move your lips a little bit. You probably don't even realize you're doing it. But she was in anguish praying to the Lord, and she was doing this, okay? Fairly common. And therefore, Eli took her to be a drunken woman, okay? Remember this, because this is going to show up later on when we talk about the boys, okay? So he thought she was a drunken woman. And Eli said to her, how long will you go on being drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered, no, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit, and have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for For all along I have been speaking out of great anxiety and vexation. Then Eli answered her, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition that you have made unto him. And she said, Let your servant find favor in your eyes. Then the woman went away and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So just a few words from the priest calmed her down, let her eat, had her stop crying. And it shows what that, what I want to say, a helpful word, a peaceful word can do for somebody. So ministry right there. All right. Oh, and I found a picture of Eli. He's sitting outside the tent here. We're going to find that he's an old man here. And then Hannah praying. Because, of course, the woman couldn't go inside the tabernacle. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about, after Hannah had conceived, that she bore a son and called him Samuel. You know what Samuel means? God heard. So it goes very well along with, her prayer and it all. I'll give you a little Hebrew lesson real quick. If you ever see E-L at the end of a name, that means God. And Samuel is from Shema. Have you ever heard the Shema, Deuteronomy 6:4? What's it say? Hear, O Israel, I am one, the Lord is one. So, the great, God, Jesus even said that was the greatest commandment. And then it goes on to tell you about teaching your children daily. The reason why a little this is important to me, because part of my thesis, I took part of this area for my thesis, and based on this, it's you're supposed to take this and teach your children, just like the Shema says. It says when you're sitting at your house, when you're walking along the way and stuff like that. And so modern day, of course, we don't walk, but you can teach in the car and stuff like that. Oh, I better quit because I'll do my whole thesis. But anyways, Samuel said, because, I'll talk in a minute. Because I have asked him, and the Lord and the man, saying Samuel, because I have asked of him from the Lord. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord a yearly sacrifice and his vow. And Hannah went up not, for she said unto her husband, I will not go until the child is weaned, and when I bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abideth forever. And Elkanah her husband said unto her, Do what seemeth good to thee. This is a big thing. This is the favorite son. This is the oldest son. And he's willing to give it up to the Lord to be a minister unto the Lord. So he gives it up. Okay. Tarry thee, and thou have weaned him only. And the Lord established his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until he was weaned. She had weaned him. And when he had weaned him, she took him up with her and 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. Wean probably means more than just he's no longer drinking milk from the breast. Wean would be more he was able to actually dress himself and take care of himself a little bit. And we kind of get an idea here. She brought 3 bullocks, so it was probably 3 years. He was roughly 3 years old. I don't know about you. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at grandkids. I don't know how much ministering to the Lord they can do, but I mean, that's the situation there. So, okay. And they slew the bullock and brought the child to Eli. And he said, O Lord, as thou livest, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition which I ask of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. So she gives Eli loan of the child for his life. So, and we're going to see this is fulfilled because he goes on. He's a great influence to David and leading him straight and doing what's right and leading Israel. So, and he was a very strong influence. And we'll see towards the end tonight what else he does. Okay, and here we have Eli accepting the child, Samuel. Okay. Elkanah returned to Ramoth, which is his home, to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. I mean, he must have been a miraculous child, be able to. I mean, he was there working and helping Eli do what he needed. Now, the sons of Eli were the sons of Belial. I don't know if you ever looked up Belial. Belial technically means not worthy or worthless in Hebrew. And so if they were Belial. If you put the sons of Belial, which shows up about 24 times in the Bible, it usually means they are demonic. And actually I better get it right here, say it right. Paul uses Belial. Here it is, 2 Corinthians 6:15. He straight up uses Belial for Satan. So Eli's sons are demonic or have demonic oppression or they're bad here. And we're going to see what they do here in a couple places. And they knew not the Lord. That's another thing. They were priests, and they did not know the Lord. So they obviously were not helping, teaching, doing anything that the priest is supposed to be do. Except for demonically, they're chasing people away, which you'll see here in a second. And the priest custom with the people was that when any man offered a sacrifice, the priest's servant came with the flesh was in seething with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand. In other words, a servant of the priest would come and he'd have this big three-pronged fork. Anybody do any barbecue? You ever have one of those big pronged forks? And they'd wait till the meat was about done, and they'd stick it in there and pull some out, and that would be what, as they said, God wanted the priest to have. Now, I hate to tell you this is not what was in Leviticus. It was very specific what they were supposed to get and like that. So they had made their own rules, for one thing. But, that's what it was, and the people were happy with that, okay? Okay, let's jump down here. All right. Also before they, and it's stuck into the pan or cauldron or kettle or cauldron or pot, all that the flesh brought up, the priest took for himself. So they did in Shiloh unto the Israelites that came thereafter. But before they burnt the fat, the priest's servants, the fat was God's portion. Okay? He got that, and depending on what the sacrifice, he got like a leg quarter or something like that, a dove or something like that. That whole thing got burnt, but we don't need to go on all the Levitical. But there were specific things that were supposed to happen, okay? And let's see, they would come before the flesh. I've lost my spot, of course. Okay.
Brad, where are you reading?
Yeah. No, this is actually chapter 3. Chapter 2 is almost, is this still, no, this is still 1. I'm probably not going to do chapter 2 because that's Hannah's song or whatever. It's chapter 2? Okay, I'm sorry.
2, verse 15 right now.
Okay, 15. All right. Sorry. Okay, they also burnt the fat, and the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, give fresh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. And any man that said unto him, let them not fail to burn the fat precisely, and then take as much as thou so desirest. And he would answer them, nay, but thou shalt not give it now, and if not, I will take it by force. So, and therefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord. So they are actually chasing people away from sacrificing to the Lord by their evil ways here. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being a child girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat and brought it to him year after year. And when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice, and Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife and said, the Lord give thee seed of the woman for the loan which is lent to the Lord. And they went in unto their home, and the Lord visited Hannah, and she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord. So you kind of got 2 stories going on here. We got the bad guys and the good guys, okay? And so we see Samuel's growing in the Lord. Elkanah is blessed because of what she has done. I know Hannah is blessed. Elkanah is too, for what she has done for the Lord. And you see, Hannah is one of a lot of women's studies pick on her, or not, I don't want to say pick on her, but use her as an example of a praiseworthy woman and like that because of what she did. She prayed to the Lord and asked, and God was gracious to give her what she wanted. Now Eli was very old and heard all that his sons did unto Israel and how they lay with, first of all, Eli knew. That's important. Eli knew what was going on. And we're probably going to talk about this in a little bit. And now we're going to see another dastardly thing that his sons did. How they lay with women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Remember, Eli thought Hannah was drunk? Well, he thought it was one of these women. And that's why Eli was so upset with her. Okay? And now we see that these young men are defiling the temple. Or not the tabernacle, sorry. They're not interchangeable yet. But so there's no other way to say it that they're evil. I mean, and they're doing the devil's work. They're trying to get people keep people away from God. And he said unto them, why do ye such things? For I heard of all of your evil dealings by all the people. Nay, my sons, for it is not good report that I hear. Ye make the Lord's people to transgress. If one man sins against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sins against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Nothing withstands, they hearken not unto the voice of the Father, because the Lord would slay them. Okay, right here, all Eli does is scolds them. Remember, Eli's the high priest. He could have, out of here, dudes, and he doesn't do it. I mean, he just kind of gives them a little scolding. But down here, because the Lord would slay them. God had already had in mind what he was going to do. And he kind of let it go on. Just like we talked about, with Pharaoh, that Pharaoh's heart was hardened by God so he can continue on and make a big show, big splash. And then we're going to flip back. And the child Samuel grew and was in favor both with the Lord and also with men. Okay, we're seeing Samuel getting a little older, and now people are noticing him. And he's finding favor with his ministry or ministering to the people. And there came a man of God unto Eli and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, did I plainly appear unto the house of thy father when they were in Egypt in Pharaoh's house? He's talking about Levi. Did I not plainly come and talk to you? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer upon the altar, to burn incense, to wear the ephod before me? And did I give unto thy house, thy father, all the offerings made by fire to the children of Israel? Didn't I just bless you? I gave you all this stuff. You've got you're getting to eat meat where most of the people, they're eating cheese and bread every day, and you're eating meat every day. I mean, you got such a great blessing here going on, and then you're messing up. Wherefore, kick ye at my sacrifice. So you're kicking at my sacrifices and mine offering, which I have commanded in my habitation. For men abhor the offering of the Lord. God knows the men don't want to come offer to him. So God's pretty mad here. To make yourselves fat with the chiefest of all the offerings of Israel, of my people. So he knows she's stealing what's not theirs. He's upset. Wherefore the Lord of Israel said, I shall indeed that thy house and the house of thy father should walk before me forever. Levi was supposed to always be the priest. But be far from me, but for them that honor me I will honor, and these that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. Before the days come that I will cut thine arm and the arm of thy house, that they shall not be an old man in thine house. Think about that a second. Eli's old. So Eli's going to die, and here we're going to see in a minute that his sons are going to die. That's a pretty stiff sentence there. And if you want to take it a step further, I don't want to say he's not, because we talked about it in Bible study. Eli's not dying for his son's sin. He's dying for his sin of not restraining the boys. He knew it. He was their father, but he was the high priest, and he wasn't taking care of business here. So, and he's causing a great pain here for God. Okay. And thou shalt see an enemy in my habitation, and in all the wealth of God shall give Israel, and there shall not be an old man. Oh, I did that. And the man of thine whom I shall not cut off from mine altar shall be consumed thine eyes, and to grieve thy heart, and all the incense of thy house shall die in the flower of their age. And this shall be a sign unto thee, that thou shalt come upon the two sons, on Hophni and Phinehas, and one day they both shall die. So Eli's going to die, and he's going to live to see that his sons die. You know, that's pretty harsh. And Eli's, I didn't put it in here, but Eli's saying, well, let the Lord do what he's going to do. It's like, okay. All right, now we're going to hop back to Samuel. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. Okay. We have seen before that people had visions and all, but evidently they had died down, or there weren't very many. Obviously, that prophet that came to, but it wasn't as prevalent, let's say it that way. And it came to pass at that time, when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. Okay, so Eli is blind now. He's an old man, okay? And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep. Okay, I'm going to give you a picture here. We talked about this, that, remember Joshua? He slept in here. And so that's what's going on here also. You know, we said Joshua slept in here to keep the lampstand going. Because once there was oil in it and it was burning, it was supposed to continue burning. So he had to sleep in here, okay? So this is what's going on, okay? Let me hop back a second. And I tried to find a picture of that, but none of them were accurate, so I wouldn't use them. Okay. That the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am, and he ran unto Eli. Okay. So he didn't understand that it was God. You know, go back to this other picture. God, can you see my little pointer? No. Okay, in the Holy of Holies is the tabernacle. On the top, with the two angels, the wings are pointing this way, and God was supposed to be sitting on there. Okay, that's going to be important in a minute too. So that's called the mercy seat. And you're supposed to go and ask for mercy from God for your sins. And so this is the mercy seat. And so if God was sitting there, and he's talking to Samuel, sitting literally in the next room. But he's not understanding that. So he gets up and runs to Eli. And he ends up doing that 2 more times. And so, okay, now we're going to get into something kind of controversial here. And now Samuel did not know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed to him. Oh, okay. Some commentators say Samuel had no earthly idea who the Lord was. I kind of have a problem with that, because we've already seen that he was ministering unto the Lord and stuff like that. We heard also, another group says that he had never seen a vision, and we can confer that because we just saw it a little while ago. So that's why he didn't know what was going on. And then there's a third kind of a mixture of the two, that he didn't fully understand God because he was young, and that, again, there hadn't been any visions or anything like that. And I've seen that idea kind of used also for the age of accountability type thing, that he hadn't fully grasped yet. So I'll be honest with you, I lean a little bit towards that. But I wanted you to hear all sides there, okay? But he was unlearned. We'll just say that. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. So he'd already done it 2 other times. And he rose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for thou didst call me." And Eli perceived that it was the Lord that had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, "Go lie thee down, and let it be, if he called thee, that thou would say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." So Samuel went and lay down in his place, and the Lord came and stood. So God came and actually visited him. Some would say that might have been a pre-incarnate Christ. You know what I mean by that? Pre-incarnate, before the incarnation, before he became living flesh. Incarnate means meat, so flesh. So before he became that, so that God, Jesus, actually came and visited with Samuel. And called as the other times, and Samuel, then Samuel answered, "Speak, for thy servant heareth." So this is the call of Samuel, because we're going to see there's a big, he was kind of ministering and people were noticing him, but we're going to see he's going to blossom. And the Lord came and stood and called as the other time, "Samuel, Samuel," and Samuel answered, "Speak, for thy servant heareth." And the Lord said to Samuel, "Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at both the ears of everyone that heareth shall tingle." Like I said earlier, God's going to make a big show here. Everybody's going to know what went on. "In that day I will perform against Eli the things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I began, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth." Again, he knoweth. He screwed up. So he's getting punished for what he did. Not like some people say, "Oh, he got punished for his sons." No, he got punished for knowing what his sons were doing and didn't do anything about it. Okay? Because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. So he didn't do his job. "And therefore I have sworn unto thee, the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offerings forever." So essentially, he's kicking them out of the line, and we'll end up with a new high priestly reign, which is a big thing. Now we're going to see, we're going back to Samuel. "And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did not let his words fall upon the ground." So now he's not just, people had noticed him, he's actually speaking, he's teaching, he's going, so we see a change. He's becoming bigger. The word prophet means to foretell. So he's speaking. A lot of times when we think of prophet, we think of Old Testament prophets that go and do these miraculous things and stuff. But technically, a prophet can be pastor because he foretells the gospel or foretells about God. Even somebody, when you go talk to them, you're foretelling them. You're prophesying to them, not in what most people think of. So, a little something to think about. Okay. And all of Israel from Dan to Beersheba. So Dan at the, as I'm going to say, top of Israel, and then Beersheba down here in the very bottom, or the Negev. Negev means south in Hebrew. So way down here. And so the whole Israel was starting to take notice of Samuel and his words. And knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord, a foreteller of the word. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel. So Samuel gets another visit from God. Unfortunately, we don't get much information about this. But Samuel came to Shiloh, again, when I showed you up there in the very beginning, by the word of the Lord. And the word of Samuel came to all of Israel. So essentially, what God told Samuel, he told everybody. And now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle. And they pitched beside Ebenezer. Ebenezer means literally like a standing stone, or a stone to mark a significance. And we'll see that at the end of here. And the Philistines pitched in Aphek, which I showed you earlier. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines. And they slew the army and the field 4,000 men. So Israel fought against the Philistines, and they lost. Bad. 4,000 men. Back in those days, they probably only had, couple million people. So that, that's a big loss. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of the Israelites, where hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant. What? There's nothing in the Bible says about that. What happened? It jumped? Okay, let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. Have you ever thought to yourself, oh, God's on my side, I'm going to just bowl on through it, and it's not God's will? That's what's going on here, because they weren't supposed to come and grab the ark and take it into battle. That was not what was supposed to be going on. A little side note here. Indiana Jones. Everybody's going to ask me about that anyway. Think about it. That's what the whole premise of Indiana Jones is to go get the ark so Hitler could go take it into battle and win his battles. We're going to see here in a minute what happens when they take it into battle. So, I don't know if they read the Bible. We do know this much, that Hitler spent money to look for the ark, but of course he never found it. And of course he also lost North Africa and stuff. So the people sent to Shiloh that they may bring forth thence the ark of the covenant, the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubim. So we're going to go get God and bring him here, guys. We got God on top of the box here, and we're going to take it to it. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant. So they were egging it on. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp of the Israelites shouted with a great shout, and the earth rang again. And the Philistines fought. Okay, so that scares the Philistines. I kind of cut a little bit out. I know I'm running out of time. And the Philistines fought, and the Israelites were smitten, and every fled and they fled every man into his tent, and there was a very great slaughter, for there fell 30,000 footmen. That's awful. And the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli and Hophni and Phinehas were slain. And there they ran a man of Benjamin out of the army. He came to Shiloh, and that same day with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. That was a sign of, what I want to say, lament or whatever. You put dirt, on your head, because you were supposed to, back in those days, you put olive oil on your head and stuff, and tear your clothes, okay? Because you'll see that a lot. He tore his clothes, so he rent his clothes. Okay. And when it came low, Eli sat upon his seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. Eli knew that wasn't what was supposed to happen, but he didn't stop him again. Okay. Did it jump again? Oh, yes, it did. What am I doing? Okay. Sat by the wayside watching, like he was before. He's sitting at the tent. And why is this doing that? And when he came low, Eli sat upon the wayside. Well, okay, we heard that. And Eli heard the noise of the crying and said, "What meaneth the noise of this tumult?" And the man came hastily unto Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, so he was an older man. And his eyes were dim, we know, and that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, "I have come from out of the army, and fled today in the army, and said, What is there done, my son?" And the messenger answered and said, "Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people. And the two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken." And it came to pass, when he had mentioned the ark of God, that he fell off his seat backwards beside the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. And he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel for 40 years. So what was prophesied just came true. And notice, it wasn't that his sons died that he was upset. He was upset because of the ark. Okay. Now, I love some of this stuff. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. And when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Dagon is the Philistines' god. It's a fish god. The Philistines are, sea people. And fish was big in their diet and like that. And so they have a fish god. Another thing that didn't really come out here is that you'll notice that the Philistines really whip upon the Israelites until David goes with them. We know that the Philistines had metal forges, swords, metal swords. And it wasn't till David came and worked with them and understood their metallurgy that then he was able to bring that back to Israel, and they were able to fight the Philistines. And you'll see that they never had much problem with the Philistines after David. So, because Israel was still in the Bronze Age. If you've heard, some of these people, go about the Metal Age and Iron Age and Bronze Age, and anyways, that's beside the point. But I think that's interesting. Okay, where did I stop? Oh, Dagon. Okay, and when the Ashdod rose up early in the morning, behold, Dagon had fallen upon his face on the earth before the ark of the Lord. So Dagon bowed down to God. So shows you who the real God is, right? I mean, okay. And then they took Dagon and set him up and placed him again. And then they arose early in the morning, and behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both his palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left. So God killed Dagon. I mean, I love this picture. How it's like Egypt all over again. God's taking, showing who is number one. Therefore, neither the priest of Dagon nor any of that came into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod until this day. But the hands of the Lord was heavy upon Ashdod, and they destroyed them and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. There's a lot of debate what emerods are. If emerods in Hebrew, it literally means tumors. So, but we're going to see in a little bit that they're going to give gold tumors or emerods, say it right, emerods and rats. So some people think it may be something to do like the bubonic plague or rat bites or something like that, but it's evidently very painful, and we'll see here in another minute. It said that they were in the places that are covered or uncovered. So they were in the nether regions, and it was very, very painful, and people were actually dying from it. Okay. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said that the ark of God of Israel shall not abide with us, for the hand was sore upon us, and Dagon our God. And there's a artist rendition of what the head off, but again, he bowed down. I love that. I love that picture. As he sent, therefore, I'm running out of time. I'm going to go quick. And so I'm just going to tell you the story here. What's going on is they send it all over. They send it to all the cities of Philistia. There's 5 cities, and I showed you earlier. They send it to all of them, and all of the cities end up with emerods, and people are sick. And so they don't know what to do. And so what Philistines decide to do is to make golden emerods and put them in a box, and golden rats, and put them in a box and put them in a cart, and then put the ark of God on that cart. And they get 2 cows and send them on their way. And their thing is, if it goes straight to Israel, it was God. If it goes right or left, it's a problem. And so they do that, and it comes to here. Okay, here it comes Shiloh. You can see it takes travel, and it goes to all the cities and Ekron, and then it comes to Beth Shemesh. And so in Beth Shemesh, they take it, and they have the Levites. I kind of skipped that, but they have the Levites take it off, which is real important. I think the guys next week's going to talk about that. But the Levites take it off the cart and put it on the rock, and they take the cows and make sacrifice, and they use the cart. They cut the cart up and make a burnt sacrifice to God. But this is the next part. And then he smote the men of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He smote the people with 50,000 and 70 men. So 50,600 or 60 or 70 men score is 20. Okay? So he killed that many men for looking in the Ark of the Covenant. You know, we talked about this last week. What was in the Ark of the Covenant is a jar of manna, the rod of Aaron that budded, and the 10 Commandments. But they got curious and looked in it. And he killed a lot of men there at Beth Shemesh. Another little pointer to Indiana Jones. That's what they refer to in that last scene, is when they open up the thing and, Indy says, close your eyes and all that. So they are referring to a biblical thing, okay? And the people of Beth Shemesh obviously were upset. And so they ask, I don't have it up here. They ask Kerethim, I'll say it in a minute, to come and get it. We don't want it. It killed us. And so they ask him to take it. And it says there that it goes for 20 years. Now, the next thing is we see Samuel is established. And Samuel speaks unto Israel and tells them, if you return to the Lord, if you cut down your Asherah poles, you stop worshiping Baal, you get all these idols out of your houses, and I'll take care of you, and we can go fight the Philistines. Well, the Philistines hear that they are all up there, and Samuel's talking to him, and so they come over, and they're going to make battle. And so Samuel finds out, and he goes, gets a suckling lamb, it says, and he makes a sacrifice of it. And what happens? Not that Israel takes him over, but God does. God comes with a great thunderstorm and scares the Philistine and chases them away, and the Israelites chase them and take them over. Again, showing God's power, but only after they do what they were supposed to do in the beginning. So, and again, we see them believing in God from Samuel, because Samuel becomes a great leader and what he was supposed to be doing, not like Eli. And then, okay, I was still talking about all that. And then Samuel sets up a little circuit. After that, he becomes the judge of Israel. And so he sets up a little circuit here. He comes, he goes to Gilgal, he goes to Shiloh, he comes down here to Mizpah, and so he makes a little circuit, and people are supposed to come, and that's where he judges, and then he rests. Unfortunately, it's not on here, but Ramath is kind of down here, and so that's how Samuel leads up, and this leads us into David. Okay, let's pray real quick. I'm sorry. Dear Lord, thank you for all of us gathering here together today, and we just ask your help and guidance for the youth and the counselors or leaders at the camp this week as they go there. Hopefully they learn more about you and are enlightened. And I want to pray for all the other activities that are going on this summer. We've got a couple of missions trips yet to go, and we just want to ask your hand upon those. We want to ask prayers for the ones that are missing here tonight, and we just ask your help and guidance as we come back to your church on Sunday. Amen. Sure.